Hi, guys. Welcome to Classic Guitar Rock. I'm Jeremy with an update for February 13th, 2023. I just wanted to just get together and talk a bit about kind of what I'm thinking about for this massive channel. I think we're approaching, what are we? Where are we at? 15,000 subscribers, 14,000, wherever we're at. We got the podcast, which is great. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I owe you a new episode. Haven't done an episode for a while. Just been so busy. A lot of work stuff. Been traveling a lot. But you know, one of the things I really want to do is have more of a community and make this more of a community of like-minded folks, right? You know, the last thing I want to do is talk about politics. I want to talk about the thing that brings us all together. And in this context, that's love of great music, right? Classic rock, music from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So if that's your cup of tea, I welcome you here. I hope you'll come back often. And one thing that I shared on my Twitter page, in fact, if you're not following us on Twitter, please check us out, Classic Guitar. It's Classic Guitar R1 on Twitter. If you would follow us on Twitter, if you happen to be on Twitter. But one of the things that I invited folks to do is send me an email. Send me an email. I'd love to share your emails. Again, trying to get more of a community feel here. And I asked folks to send an email and tell me about their favorite classic rock album or song and why it's special to them. So I want to share some of those. And again, give you the invitation to share your thoughts via email on that or anything else, and I'll share those with the group here. Positive, negative, I don't care. I'll share negative comments too. I think those are kind of fun. So anything you want to share, classicguitarrock@mail.com. Shoot me an email. My name's Jeremy. You don't have to address me by name, whatever. But that would be awesome if you could email me, and then we'll share them here. I have a few emails I'm going to share with you here today. An email from Joe Discus. Joe says, I was in high school in Germany, and my mother sent me a couple houses down to collect my older sister for dinner. No one answered my knock, so I go in. No one around, so they're down in the basement. I hear this jaw-dropping song playing on the record player. I go over to see the name on the 45 record of this amazing artist. It reads, what do you think it's going to say? Purple Haze by the Jimi Hendrix Experience. That was around 1968. The next day, I went downtown and bought the European version of the album, Are You Experienced by Hendrix. I've been a fan ever since. Joe Discus. Joe, thanks for sharing that. And it's interesting if you look at the album cover on the European version versus the American version, they're quite different. Completely different picture. Songs are spelled differently, specifically the song Foxy Lady. I believe there's a song on the European version that's not on the US version, if I'm remembering that right. But man, what a great piece of music history that you were involved with, Joe. I mean, you're a little older than me. I was only like a year old in 1968, but awesome that you have that memory of such a classic, iconic album. And thanks for sharing that with us. Here's another email. Hello, Classic Guitar Rock, and greetings from Colorado. I get a lot of flack for it from my music snob friends, but I am a huge Kiss fan. I grew up on their music, and to this day, I still love them. I'm almost afraid to ask. But what are your thoughts on Kiss? It's from Keith McAllister. Keith, thank you for the email. I actually have, if you go back on the YouTube channel, I talk about Kiss. And I'll be honest, my thoughts on Kiss are kind of torn. I think they're one of the greatest rock bands of all time and one of the worst rock bands of all time at the same time. How does that happen? So yeah, my feelings are torn. on Kiss. And I have to say this, I love Paul Stanley. I'm a big Paul Stanley fan. I like the characters in Kiss. I will watch a Kiss documentary whenever I have a chance. I wish I liked their music better. And there's things we can pick apart about their music. You know, were they the world's greatest musicians? No. But here's what Kiss did. I bet more than any other band, they inspired kids to want to pick up instruments and play. Well, the Beatles, they were pretty influential too, but at least in the 70s, after the Beatles, I would say probably more, and you know, boys, right? Probably way more boys were influenced. They wanted to be in a rock band, I think, because of Kiss. So Kiss had they had the stage show, they had the makeup. I mean, when you're a 12-year-old pimply-faced kid, nothing was cooler than Kiss in the mid-70s. So I get that. And so much about music is about nostalgia and about our memories. And let's be honest, when you go back and listen to an album that was really important to you in your formative years, if you're objective, you probably go, "Oh, that's not near as good as I remember it," right? But that doesn't matter, because the powerful thing about music is what it triggers, right? The memories, we had connections. Music, more than anything, does that, right? And so whether it's Kiss or Casey and the Sunshine Band or the Village People, I don't care. We all get those connections through music. That's why music is such a powerful medium. If I can watch Kiss, I'll totally watch a Kiss concert. If I just have to listen to it, so much of what they did was about the visual that it's really, if you're just listening to an album, you're kind of like, oh, this guy, where they, you know, they had some good songs. Don't get me wrong. They had some good songs. Don't get me started on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They should have been in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame the year the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame opened, to be honest, right? Were they eligible? I think, is it 15 years? Or maybe they weren't eligible, but they should have gone in the very first year they were eligible. It is a joke that it took as long as it did for Kiss to get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Talk about influential. Wow. They're in the top 5 of influential bands, whether you like the music or not, whether you like them or not. They were huge. They were huge. So from that standpoint, they were very important. One of the world's greatest bands. I could nitpick their music, their musical abilities, whatever. But I know in 1977, when I was 10 years old, no one was bigger or badder or more popular than Kiss. Okay? And like you, Keith, Kiss wasn't they weren't one of my very favorite bands, but I definitely felt the influence and the importance of them. But I had other bands that you might think weren't that great that I will tell you, oh, they were so, like for me, Styx was huge, right? Rush was huge. And I feel just as strongly about Rush and Styx, I'm sure, as you do about Kiss. And the thing about music, it's subjective. You can't prove, right? You can't prove that one band is better than another because it's all subjective. But that's, look, I got a halo behind, look at that. I got a halo. But that's what's cool about music, right? It's not a competition. You don't have to prove anyone wrong. Music is so powerful. It's very subjective. We create our own feelings about music. So I respect your thoughts on Kiss. I think they were hugely important. Whether or not I think they were the world's best musicians doesn't matter. They sure made a lot of people happy. They sure had a lot of successful tours. So more power to them. More power to them. All right. Another one here. Hi, Jeremy. They addressed me by name. Nice. Hi, Jeremy. I watched your Billy Gibbons video. If you go back a year or so, this is my most popular video. I think I'm up to like 650,000 views on it or something. But let me just say this. I've made more money from that video than I think every other video combined. So anyways, I watched your Billy Gibbons video. I really enjoyed it. However, I have a theory bone to pick with you. Aren't those double stop shapes fourths? You said they were fifth chords. Other than that, I love the video. So let's talk about, in fact, I'm going to grab a guitar. Hang on. I don't know if you'll hear this. It's not even plugged in, but I'm going to use it to demonstrate. I'll move the mic a little. Maybe we can pick it up. So in the video, we talked all about double stops. You'll have to go back and watch the video to get the whole thing. But a double stop, I'm just holding two strings down at a time, right? So the point I made was I could play a G power chord. So typical power chord is I would hold down, there's a first. It's based on the notes of the scale, first and the fifth. So just those two strings, that's a power chord. A lot of people will add the octave down below. So you're holding down three strings. So I'm playing the first and the fifth. Okay, that makes it a fifth chord or a power chord. Now what I said is if I'm playing this and then just don't play the lower root, I'm still playing the first and the fifth. Okay, it's just a different inversion of a power chord. So in the context that I was talking about, it's totally a fifth, it's still a fifth chord. I'm still playing a 1 and a 5. And so the point of that lesson was Billy Gibbons uses a lot of these little double stops. And in that context, they are functioning as fifth chords because he's playing this, okay? That's a G. He's playing that as a G, okay? The bass is riding a G underneath. So it's a G5 chord, right? But we're both right because you said, aren't they fourths? Well, they are. That shape, if I play those two strings, I'm holding down the fifth string at the fifth fret and the fourth string at the fifth fret. In context of a D, that is a D4, okay? Because it's the first of a D and it's the fourth of a D scale. So yeah, it's a fourth chord. So Smoke on the Water. Okay, and Richie Blackmore will even say, yeah, I play these fourths. Yes, they're fourths, but in the actual context, the bass underneath is playing a G. So really, to me, it's more accurate to call them a fifth chord, right? Because unless I'm playing them in the context of a D, the D scale, a D chord, it's really functioning more as a G5 than a D4. Does that make sense? That's kind of nerdy theory. But that's why I called it a fifth chord, because I'm still playing the first of the major scale and the fifth of the major scale. Go back and watch that video, and you'll know what I'm talking about when I say that. All right, so those are the emails I had so far. I would love for you guys to send an email. I'd love to hear from you. ClassicGuitarRock@mail.com. Love to share your email, your thoughts. I'm mainly just wanted to check in and say hi because I haven't uploaded anything in a while. We've got an episode of the podcast coming up, and I'm just going to try and get on here more often and talk with you all. I'd love to hear from you. You can obviously leave questions in the comments below, and I'll read your comments there too. But I love to get email. I'd love to get emails from you. ClassicGuitarRock@mail.com. Thanks for checking us out. We'll see you next time right here on the Classic Guitar Rock channel. Bye-bye.